Minecraft, Diablo 2, Deep Rock Galactic, Bloodborne's Chalice Dungeons, Remnant 2. All of these games share one key factor. Their boards, their maps, their set pieces, their worlds are random. While basically all games in the roguelike genre feature random levels, some games generate entire 3D spaces with the same concepts in mind. Procedurally generated, usually at the very start, but sometimes continuously over the course of the entire game. Your level rolls the dice before deciding how and where to put all of the waterfalls, items, and enemies, then names itself. A seed is the name of your randomly generated level, the starting point for all the twists and turns to sprout from. The choice to design a random shuffling of assets into a different level every time can usually be chalked up to one major end goal: replayability. While Ocarina of Time, Dark Souls, and Skyrim were busy specifically placing their enemies, checkpoints, and taverns in very deliberate places, the best places they could possibly think of, other games, such as Remnant 2, did things differently. Much differently. Not only might you find a whole different starting level than your friend who just fired up his own game, the boss you encounter at the end is also a toss-up. The quests on your way there, the outfits, the weapons and rings, the puzzles, and the characters you speak to all have chance somehow involved. And while games like Minecraft are simply accepted as random, fun, Lego-like worlds to play in, Remnant 2 goes a step further. To avoid spoiling the end of the game, all I will say is the story, the narrative that you follow as the game progresses, acknowledges and even explains why the worlds are different every time.
A place between worlds, connecting the worlds. The Keeper protects all of them from the root.
Every single time you literally re-roll your adventure, you're reenacting exactly what the narrative said you would do, and will do again, forever. I, like so many others, have replayed games that aren't randomly generated. I have lost countless hours to the Souls series, and even though the path is exactly the same every time you play it, the character you make is different. And thus the gameplay loop is different, and if the worlds are meticulously crafted to be the best versions the creators could conjure up, then it's clearly possible to play these games over and over and over again. So, does that mean Remnant 2 should have instead chose to make singular, static worlds with the perfect place for each item, the most strategic enemy placements, and include every single boss in one playthrough? Maybe. What if Elden Ring's map was procedurally generated? The crowned king of open world maps, bustling with interesting caves and ruins, was handcrafted by FromSoft to be the best, most perfect map it could be, and I don't think anyone on Earth would change it. Ask anyone who's played Skyrim if they would have preferred a random world instead of the pre-made one they got, and I'd guess they'd say pre-made 9 times out of 10. It's difficult to say if developer Gunfire Games could have made a handcrafted world better than the random level design choice they went with, but this is also the real world, where time and money and people's livelihood depend on a fickle industry. So it's entirely plausible that aiming for the perfect level would have cost more time and resources, only to end up as a shadow of the pre-made giants that came before them. More than anything, I think Gunfire Games wanted their own identity, and rather than chase the perfect map, they chose to invest their focus into the perfect amount of random. But random almost always comes with one massive downside. A player who's stuck in Dark Souls or Skyrim has no idea where to go or what to do, but they can always fall back on one thing. I'm just gonna look this up real quick. An unsatisfying conclusion to a game's attempt at tricking the player with hidden passageways or missable key items needed to continue, but at least it's fast. Basically every secret in every video game now is already discovered before it's even launched yet, so getting unstuck is relatively quick and allows you to get right back into the action. In Remnant 2, however, you will find a lot of locked doors. It's possible for random to get a little too random and design itself in the least engaging, least fun option possible. Randomly getting the same bosses with randomly faraway keys to randomly obtuse doors hidden by random ladders, hidden by boxes, hidden by another fucking locked door. Sometimes a randomly generated level will actually remind you why thought out levels exist in the first place. They prevent these really long, boring slogs where nothing interesting happens, and always ensure that if you missed something, you can look it up or ask someone where to find it. But if your Minecraft world just doesn't contain any sugarcane, or all the diamonds spawn as far away from you as they possibly could, you might end up unknowingly playing the worst version of all the possible maps you could have gotten. Lethal Company is a randomly generated horror game that definitely needs random worlds, because if they were always the same, there would be no need to find scrap, and finding scrap is the only thing to do. One could definitely argue that the random chance of either getting all your scrap in the very front, or as far back in each level as it could be, is what makes it special. And well thought out placements wouldn't mean nearly as much because you just memorize finding them versus having to improvise to find them. Same with Valheim and Minecraft. The fun lies in not knowing where to go, no matter how many times you restart. Navigating the vast landscapes of procedurally generated worlds makes you recognize that the magic of randomness is a double-edged sword, a tool that, when wielded with care, definitely can enhance the experience. Whether meticulously designed or left to the whims of chance, the choice of level design ultimately shapes the player's journey, creating a space for discovery, challenge, and perhaps a touch of chaos that keeps us coming back for more. In the end, it's not just about the perfection of a static world or the randomness of a procedural one, it's about finding the perfect blend that resonates with the player, making each adventure, each roll of the dice, a captivating and memorable experience. Thanks for watching.
I may or may not have died.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta wait for it to get. Yeah, like that.
Oh, no!
No! Oh!